The Cartesian plane. The development of the coordinate or Cartesian plane is often credited to the French philosopher and mathematician René Descartes. René Descartes lived from 1596 to 1650, and you may have heard of him from his famous quote, "Cogito ergo sum," which is Latin for "I think, therefore I am." It is said that Descartes first came up with the idea for the plane as he lay in bed watching several flies crawl across his tiled ceiling. As he observed their movement, he realized he could use the intersecting lines formed by the tiles to create and describe a fly's location. Although historical evidence suggests that a contemporary of Descartes, Pierre de Fermat, did more to develop the coordinate system, René Descartes' work certainly revolutionized mathematics by describing the properties of the plane and using it as the first systematic link between Euclidean geometry and algebra. So let's take our Cartesian plane and break it down into its different parts as we know them today. The coordinate plane is first divided into 4 sections called quadrants. Each quadrant is numbered using the Roman numerals 1 through 4 in a counterclockwise direction. The coordinate plane is also called the Cartesian plane. Their names are interchanged. One way to remember how the quadrants are numbered is to write a big C on top of the plane. The C will begin in quadrant 1 and end in quadrant 4. So we have our big C here. So if we slide it onto the coordinate plane, you'll see if you drew it, it would act the same, that the beginning of the C is in quadrant 1. And as we move counterclockwise, as we draw the C, we then go to 2, 3, and we end up in quadrant 4 with that capital C. So that's a great way to remember. If you ever are unsure, just think that coordinate plane, Cartesian plane, they both start with the capital C, and that will help you draw and number the quadrants. Here is the example of it completed. Again, that big C is going to be helping you whenever you need to know how to number the quadrants. The quadrants are formed by 2 intersecting number lines called axes. The horizontal line is called the x-axis, so you can see that here in red. And the vertical line is called the y-axis. You can see that here in green. And it's separating the 4 quadrants on the coordinate plane. The point at which the x and y axes intersect is called the origin. The coordinates of the origin are 0, 0. Points can be plotted on the plane using one coordinate from each of the axes. These sets are called ordered pairs. The x-coordinate always appears first in the pairs, and the y-coordinate appears second. Think about it. Think about which letter comes before the other in the alphabet. It only makes sense to list the x-coordinate first and then the y-coordinate because x comes first in the alphabet. Each of the quadrants can be identified by the properties of the numbers that fall within their plane. Remember, the ordered pairs are always in the form of x, y. So here, it's really about the positive and negative movement of those ordered pairs. So in the first quadrant, you can see the ordered pairs are going to be both positive x and positive y, right? You're moving to the right and up. In the second quadrant, you'll have a negative x coordinate. Right, so we can almost think this is the x and this is the y. So here in quadrant 2, you're going to have a negative x coordinate and a positive y coordinate. Think you're moving to the left in the negative direction on the x-axis, but you're still moving up in the positive y direction. In quadrant 3, both your x and y coordinates will be negative because now you're moving left and down to get to that quadrant. And then in quadrant 4, your x is positive and your y is negative. You're moving to the right in the positive direction, but your y values are moving down in the negative direction. So you can, when you're listing ordered pairs, you can remember this trick of plus plus for quadrant 1, minus plus for quadrant 2, minus minus for quadrant 3, and plus minus for quadrant 4, so you know when you're naming your ordered pairs, you know it has to be those signs. It's a way to check yourself.